In circuit racing, you run a dozen corners hundreds of times. Rallying is the opposite. You face hundreds of corners once. With that said, familiarity can go a long way. Year after year, the best teams perfect their notes, revisiting the stages and bringing them closer to perfection. As the teams arrive at the fourth event of the Canadian Rallye Championship, Rallye Charlevoix, only a few have run these stages. This rally has only been back on the national calendar for a couple of years. With a tight championship battle now at full steam, it's those who adapt the quickest to these stages who will come out victorious. It's race day in Malbaie as the teams line up to rally through the city streets. With a tight championship battle on the line, there are numerous drivers still in contention. The Canadian Rallye Championship is presented by Subaru Canada. Confidence in motion. Leading the way through the short in-town stages are Malbaie and Poirier. They're currently second in the championship standings and they need a strong result here to close the gap to the series leaders. They are playing it cool on these opening stages. You can't win here, but you can lose. This event has many forest stages that are much longer and rougher, and it's those stages where this rally is truly won or lost. They look strong off the bat, but clearly with some left in the tank. Second on the road are the championship leaders, the LeBlanc brothers. Andre and Rene have the skill to win here, but their car acts up before they can show it. 2 corners in, and they blow a power steering hose. A frustrating start that costs them time to the leaders, but they are not alone. Moreau and Guite upgraded to this X-Factory Subaru at the very last second, leaving them with limited prep and testing time. A computer glitch followed by a suspension failure knocked them down the leaderboard. In two-wheel drive, the surprise victors at the last Quebec round look to repeat their story here in Charlevoix, but their eagerness gets the best of them. They somehow managed to survive a violent spin on the tight city street. Very scary, but they treat it as a warning and finish the stage with a few seconds lost. After the in-town stages, the running order looks like this. But honestly, we're just 4 kilometers into a rally that runs over 190. This is just a warm-up. More importantly, notice the teams not in the top 10 who usually are, like the LeBlanc brothers.
Yeah, at the very first corner of the first stage, it had a jump. I had my wheel turn a bit, and then the power steering hose just exploded. So we made the first 2 stages with no power steering, which is kind of still very, very hard because the car is hard to turn, hard to drive because it's going everywhere. Good for us, it was just 2 small stages, so now the guys are fixing the car and we will be ready for the real battle in the forest.
Ouais, ben là, le premier stage, au départ, on a eu un petit souci moteur, ben, on n'avait plus de puissance. On a réussi à terminer l'étape, puis lors du deuxième passage, le même problème, puis là, un problème de suspension.
After a short 20-minute service, it's time for things to get real. The next leg represents over 70 kilometers of competition, so these stages matter. Still leading the way are Malbaie and Poirier, and they are on maximum attack. As the rally stages get run, they get worn down. They get rougher, and rocks get pulled out. So when the roads are at their best, it's often the right time to strike, and strike they have. They take 30 seconds out of the field on the opening stage alone. This is just bad news on top of bad news for the LeBlancs. The power steering line that they had fixed at service isn't fixed. They are left with little choice but to pull over, essentially handing the championship lead to Malbaie. It's a tough blow for the brothers.
First. Right, sit.
Behind them, Moreau and Guite have the car back in shape and they are on full tilt, second fastest on all 3 stages in the loop. This is a team that could regularly be on the podium, but they haven't yet been able to put it all together. They look strong after their slow start. To get to the podium, they might have to go through Brisebois and Desmarais-Trepigny in the red test racing car. They had a taste of the podium at the last round and are very determined to repeat the feat here. They are 3rd fastest on stage 4. Also in the hunt is series regular Nicolas Laverdiere, now back in open class after a tough crash earlier in the year. He and new co-driver Patrick Levesque aren't having an easy go of it. They are struggling with setup and suspension issues. These small troubles are preventing them from driving at their full pace. But as teams falter, speed becomes less important than endurance. Teams like Clark and Marin, undoubtedly fast, but taking risks. When fellow risk takers Nick and Kelly Matthew pass them away from our cameras, they learn that Clark is out of contention. The two Brits racing duo is up to 4th overall, but they will fall back down the order after this close call. The car sounds hurt. They'll limp to service. In two-wheel drive, LeBlanc and Dubé in the Civic are flying. Their overall pace is eclipsing the field, which is what we'd expect from the 2019 two-wheel drive champions. But these rougher stages make that pace hard on the car, and the cracks are starting to show. They are in a thick battle with 4 other teams, which is way too close to call. Wood and Daly look dominant on the in-town stages, with a 3rd fastest overall time, but these rougher stages take them out. Belay and Millette are in that battle as well. The commitment level is high. They end up beached, but not in the water. A lucky break, but their rally is over. That leaves 2 more cars in the hunt. Joyal and Lamontagne in their rear-wheel drive BMW 325 look strong. Joyal hasn't been in the driver's seat for 25 years, spending much of his time in the early 2010s co-driving for Bruno Carré. He's on pace with series favorite Jason Bailey in an R2T. The top 3 two-wheel drive cars are separated by less than 15 seconds in what's going to be a long and arduous battle. After 6 stages, Mailloux leads the rally by more than a minute over Moreau. Brisebois holds 3rd. LeBlanc and Dubé in the Civic are 5th overall with the two-wheel drive lead, with 3 two-wheel drive cars in the top 10. But it's a long, long rally, one that is just starting to show its true colors. We're 6 stages into Rallye Charlevoix, and we've seen some serious commitment and some serious attrition in the early legs that will have a significant impact on both the leaderboard and the series points battle.
Unfortunately, in the first stage of gravel, so 3rd stage with the new line, after a few Ks, soon as I land from a crest with angle in my steering wheel, I just popped the hose again. So there's no way I can run 4 stage with no power steering. I would just destroy everything. So I stopped, removed the fire. We just drove back here. Now we're gonna fix it and do a restart and try to go fast as I can. Luckily, we had 10 points in front of Mailloux. We're gonna see tomorrow, but those 10 points will be fly for sure.
Jusqu'à maintenant, ça va très bien. Je n'ai pas regardé les temps, là, mais je pense qu'on a à peu près 1 minute d'avance. Le dernier stage Bataram était vraiment difficile au début. Là. Il y avait des grosses roches un peu partout. Fait qu'on a fait attention là, pour pas faire de flat. Le mieux, c'est vraiment, pour nous en tout cas, c'est pas pousser dans ces sections-là là, pour garder notre avance. Par de ça a super bien été. On n'a pas de bris, puis tout va bien.
First big loop was pretty good. We were checking the notes to be sure that we did great because we did the note from scratch yesterday. It went pretty well. We had some adjustments, so we'll see next loop if we can make it faster, but so far so good.
In the AMP digital camp, it's very busy as the team is pushing to sort out several technical gremlins.
It's a good adaptation to work with a new co-driver, new transmission, long time out of that car. So it's a rough day, but we are still going. Everything's pretty much fine, so it's good.
pretty quick through stage 3, had an issue in stage 4. Bad note and bad driving. Went off on the outside of a corner, hit a very large piece of Canada, and ended up knocking something loose. And we just had diff problems after that, and ran the last stage there with 4 ways on and tried to keep as much speed as we could, but we knew we were going to drop time. So we're just happy we're back here at this point, to be honest, and hopefully we can get back out.
We have some issues with some parts in the rear suspension. Some of them broke probably after those hard stages. We have replacement parts, but the problem we have is the time we have to repair it, So at this point, we're going to try to think fast and try to do it as fast as possible.
With Nick out, he is fast and it's a great car, and on those long straights, he just pulls away from us like we can't even imagine. We're feeling pretty good, and I think the competition is really tight. There's a lot of rally to go, but the roads are very rough with the huge, ugly rocks that are attached to New York from here. And if you hit them, it's bad news. And I hit a couple, but we got away with it. But if we keep hitting them like that, we're not going to keep getting away with it.
It's back to the stages after this. 6 stages complete and 6 stages left to go on day 1 of Rallye Charlevoix. Teams look to firm up what has been a very shaky set of results. In the neighboring town of Clermont, 2 passes of the in-town stage take the spotlight. For Malbaie and Poirier, it's a moment of levity before the serious work continues. Show off to the fans, and then focus on the longer forest stages where they carved out a solid lead earlier in the day.
Ligne droite, code chemin de fer.
For others, like Nick and Kelly Matthew, it's a quick shakedown to prove the car is back in fighting form. Looks like it's all systems go as the Brits set the 3rd fastest time on both in-town stages.
Into 6 right to curve, into turn 3 left plus.
For the championship leaders, these stages mark the beginning of their comeback. They have taken over 20 minutes of penalties, but with a strong drive, they could find themselves in the top 10 by the end of the weekend. They look to minimize the championship points loss they are bound to face at the end of the rally. With the fun stuff over and done with, Moreau and Guite have their eyes set on the rally leaders. They are just a minute back, and with their ex-factory Subaru hopefully now back at full strength, they want to make their move. But a hard impact to their racing gearbox takes them out before that can happen. It's been a difficult season for this duo. 2 mechanical retirements and 1 soft off. They know they have the pace for strong results, and they will be back. Their retirement helps Brisebois and Desmarais Trepanier, who move into 2nd overall, staying cool and collected so far. It also helps Laverdiere and Levesque, who have run a fast race this weekend, but have lost their skid plate in a hard impact, and are now running unprotected. They are forced to err on the side of caution instead of speed. Their reduced pace has tightened the battle for the podium, promoting teams like Trudel and Trudel in the AZE Racing Subaru, who have been running a steady race so far. Aubé and Houdon have also done well, now in the top 10. In 2-wheel drive, the battle isn't getting any less ferocious. Bailey and Willits have taken over the lead, but it's a game of millimeters. When they edge in on a sharp rock, they take a flat on the last stage of the day and drop 30 seconds, handing the lead back to Leblanc and Dubé. Their lead isn't solid either. They're clearly fast, but the damage to their Civic is adding up, and there's doubt the car will survive the event. Which means it's likely the teams with the cleanest drive will come out on top. Joyal and Lamontagne cut the gap to the class leaders down to just 10 seconds. At the front, Malbaie and Poirier are also now limping. A blown rear suspension has them creeping through the final 2 stages of the day. They are dropping minutes and lose the lead of the rally.
Mid-tress à fond, 200. Ça va être un droit de 4 très long, large. Late, c'est lui que ça passe de proche tantôt.
They dropped to third by day's end, and Brisebois takes over the lead, with Laverdiere over a minute back. An impressive comeback drive by Nick Matthew has him up to 5th overall. LeBlanc still leads two-wheel drive, but they are unlikely to continue, which means Royale in the BMW is probably our new leader. The LeBlanc brothers are back in the top 10 after winning most of the stages since their restart. It's one thing to lead a rally, it's another thing to win it. With just 4 stages left tomorrow, the teams will need to balance their desire for victory against the maturity it takes to get to the finish. And for some, this is entirely new territory. As the sun rises on the Charlevoix region, there is a quiet battle approaching on the horizon. One car didn't make it to the overnight Parc Fermé. The Civic is out, with terminal rear suspension damage. Royale is now the two-wheel drive leader.
So today is just me and Jason on two-wheel drive to the end. Instead, it's been 25 years. I didn't really start the stage like a driver. When I come to in a race car, I'm here for race, and I'm here for win. With a good experienced guy like Jason, I'll be very happy, very happy.
At the head of the field, Brisebois is set to face his biggest test as a rally driver.
Yes, it's my first time opening the rally, being the first on the road. But so far, we'll see what's the future. But if I stay on the road, then we'll do what we did yesterday. The notes were pretty good. The car is amazing. We didn't break anything, so we're gonna wait until God of Race say what's happening today.
The Canadian Rally Championship is presented by Subaru Canada. Confidence in motion. Brisebois and Desmarais Trepanier have a lead of 1 minute 13 seconds to Laverdiere, but more importantly, a minute 43 to their teammates Mailloux and Poirier, who are certainly going to be gunning for them. So now you balance. You balance the pace you can do with certainty against the risks you need to take to ensure you lose less than 4 seconds per kilometer. It should be doable, but you don't get to know the stress of leading a rally until you're there. It can change everything. Mailloux and Poirier are running second on the road right behind them. They will see every braking point, every line that Brisebois takes. They can brake later, push harder. They're now the hunters, and they know it. They take 7 seconds out of the lead on the opening stage and move into second ahead of Laverdiere and Levesque, who had hoped to refit their undercar protection last night. They were unable to get the skid plate back to service before the car had to be locked down in Parc Fermé overnight. So they are once again running without armor. That leaves them vulnerable to being caught. Nick and Kelly Matthew have shown moments of brilliance, and they do have the pace to catch a podium spot, especially if the car in third is not at full speed.
Into 5 right, tightens to 3 at crest.
They jump up to fourth after the opening stage, and by the end of the second stage, they have cut the gap to third in half. The Trudel brothers don't know what hit them. They fall to fifth, but still a great result for this duo. Back with Mailloux, he's on full attack, taking another 31 seconds out of the leaders on the second stage of the day. The gap is shrinking, but it may not be shrinking fast enough. While that's good news for the LeBlanc brothers, who have continued to climb the leaderboard, their rally once again takes a turn for the worse. They've broken something in the rear end, and they won't finish the event. They will concede major points this weekend, and likely lose the lead of the championship, unless Mailloux falters.
Pied 920, droite 66, and gauche 73.
In two-wheel drive, the attention is squarely focused on the former class champion.
2, 1.
30 seconds is all that separates Bailey from the win, and he's known to push hard when needed. The BMW he's hoping to overtake is no slouch, so it's anyone's guess on where these two will land in the end. Bailey drops 3 on the opening stage to Joyal, but then takes 15-second back on the next. Both drivers are pushing to their limits. Joyal takes 2 back from Bailey on the penultimate stage. 17 seconds separate these two with a single stage left to go. Mailloux and Poirier have done everything they can. It's been an all-out assault on the leaders. With just 4 kilometers left to race, they've closed the gap to 26 seconds. It just isn't going to be enough. They will have to settle for second. For the first time in their rally career, Brisebois and Desmarais-Trepanier will cross the finish line in first place. This marks the 4th winner in as many events in 2021. Brisebois takes the win. Mailloux takes second and the lead of the championship. Laverdiere manages to hold on to third by just 3 seconds over the Matthews. Trudel 5th, Joyal 6th, first in two-wheel drive. The final scores have a major impact on the championship battle. 3 teams are separated by just 11 points with 2 rallies left.
It was challenging because I had to push a little bit to be sure that Mailloux won't catch on me, because I think we won by less than 20 seconds, so I had to be pretty steady on the pace, thanks to Test Racing that they swapped the engine 2 days before the event. So, and he asked me like, you owe me a podium, so I think I did what he asked for. So.
C'était vraiment important là, pour nous de terminer le rallye. On a eu un bris hier, fait qu'on a perdu quand même beaucoup de temps. On a essayé de remonter ce matin au maximum. On a vraiment tout donné, mais on voulait quand même pas faire de bêtises. Fait qu'on a réussi à terminer 2e. Là, fait qu'on est bien content quand même.
We lost parts, we break parts, new co-driver, new transmission, ending with no boost, no turbo, anything. Super close fight. It's awesome. Really, really happy.
Jason gave me a hard time today. I have to push, but at the end I'm ahead and I'm really glad. It's been 25 years. I never have that pressure, and that I'm back. I think I got it.
What we see emerging is a new guard. Young, enthusiastic, and determined rallyist ready to take on a title chase. With 2 rounds remaining, the excitement only goes up from here.